Hi guys, welcome. This is Lisa from astrologysphere.com. In this video I'm going to be doing eclipse forecasts for the upcoming eclipse season, which begins on the 26th of December and extends to the 21st of June 2020. So what I'm going to do is look at the main energies surrounding eclipse season, and then I'm going to break these down sign by sign for each of the 12 zodiac signs. This is something new I've introduced to my website for members, so it's probably something I'm going to be sending out with my moon phase newsletters, which normally go out twice a month. So if you're interested in receiving these on a regular basis, then please do subscribe. All you have to do is go to astrologysphere.com/subscribe and sign up. It's absolutely free, and it would be fabulous to have you on this journey with me as we go into 2020. So without further ado, let's get into this forecast. So before we get into the individual forecasts, I'm just going to give an overall summary of the main energies that will be constellating in relation to the eclipse cycle between now and June 2020. I have, if you're interested, also done a more in-depth video which looks at the kind of macro cycles relating to the last decade and the energies that relate to these particular eclipses, as well as the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So if you're interested in that, then you can have a look at my other video, which is called something like the December 26th solar eclipse big picture. So kick-starting eclipse season is the solar eclipse in Capricorn, which happens on the 26th of December 2019. So this begins a brand new 6-month cycle for the collective, which will last until the 21st of June 2020, when we have a new eclipse, a new solar eclipse that will take us into the next eclipse cycle. So this particular eclipse, like most solar eclipses, happens at new moon. So you could say that these type of events are really turbocharged new moons, where you are looking to plant the seeds and set your intentions for the upcoming 6 months. This particular eclipse happens, as I said, in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn on the whole is the archetypal father or authority figure. So Capricorn concerns power, responsibility, it's the inner parent, it's parenting in general, it's taking responsibility for things, owning things. It's also about working towards achieving your ambitions. Capricorn is earth energy, so this is fantastic for manifesting of all kinds. It's really great for career and coin, basically. So whilst the last eclipse cycle concerned the private sphere, this is very much about the public sphere. It's about making your mark, it's about shining in the world, and it's about achieving what it is that you want to achieve when it comes to your New Year's resolutions. So where there is a solar eclipse, there tends to be a follow-up lunar eclipse, and this year things are no different. After the solar eclipse in Capricorn, we're followed with a lunar eclipse in Cancer on the 10th of January, so in the opposite sign. So lunar eclipses happen at full moon, and they are like turbocharged full moons. Full moons on the whole tend to be about culminations or endings, and in this case what we're doing is closing out the last eclipse cycle, which began on the 2nd of July 2019 with the solar eclipse in Cancer. So Cancer is a water sign. It's the archetypal mother. This is about family, it's about the past, it's about the unconscious, it's about habits, also diet to an extent, it's about self-care. And Cancer, being a water sign, tends to be concerned with emotional things. We have to bear in mind that this is also occurring at the full moon, and that the moon is at home in the sign of Cancer. So this could be quite an emotional time, a time of release, a time of letting go, a time of endings. So that's just something to bear in mind during the first half of January, and as we go into the waning moon cycle, there may be things that you need to close out from last year before you can move fully into the solar eclipse energy that will be getting underway on December the 26th. So as if it wasn't enough to have two eclipses beginning a brand new decade, we are also due to have a Saturn-Pluto conjunction in the sign of Capricorn on the 12th of January 2020. So this begins a brand new cycle as far as these two planets are concerned. They tend to come together every 35 or so years. It's a little bit, it varies a little bit because of Pluto's elliptical orbit. Essentially, these two planets have very similar resonances. That's because before Pluto was discovered in the 1930s, many of the attributes that it now carries were assigned to the planet Saturn. Saturn was considered to be the outermost planet in the classical pantheon of planets. So a lot of the symbolism between the two overlap. Saturn is the archetypal Grim Reaper. It's also the archetypal father, so you could say that this is Emperor energy. Then we have Pluto, which is also associated with power, usually hidden power, invisible power. Pluto in many respects is symbolized by the phoenix, so this is death and then rebirth, so we're talking more about cycles here. Together, the two of them coming together in the sign of Capricorn is really quite intense energy. It's quite serious. It's also earth-based, so it's very much to do with what happens on Earth, structures that underpin the fabric of our lives. So we're talking here about power structures, so political structures. We're talking about banking. We're talking about bureaucracy. So those things on a mundane level, we might see some changes happening there. Together, Saturn and Pluto are about cutting back, stripping back. So it's possible that at this time, you know, this energy could coincide with an economic recession. I do talk about the macro trends to do with Saturn and Pluto in my video on the big picture concerning the solar eclipse. So if you're interested in how the Saturn-Pluto conjunction fits into the trends that have been happening over the last decade or so, then have a watch of that video. Needless to say, this energy will, because it's happening in the same sign as the solar eclipse, there will be some sort of continuation when it comes to the December 26th solar eclipse. It's also fair to say that many of us will already have a sense of what this energy is all about, because Saturn and Pluto were going in and out of orb of each other during 2019. They came very close to each other in the first quarter of 2019, and then they went retrograde and parted ways, and then they started to come back together again in November, December of 2019. So you've probably already got a sense that this is quite heavy energy. It's about letting go of things. It's about the truth. It's about revealing what's hidden. It's also to do with rebuilding and restructuring. It's about karmic justice and karmic rebalancing. So essentially about divine timing too, and a sort of, I hate to use the word reckoning, but that's certainly a possibility when it comes to these two planets. There's not really a lot of a sense of mercy when it comes to either Saturn or Pluto. This is the hard taskmaster and the lord of the underworld. So these are not easy energies to have to deal with, but nonetheless, if you're prepared to kind of own your stuff, if you're prepared to do the work that they demand of you, then you can reap some fantastic rewards in the future. It's just worth bearing in mind that because these planets move so slowly, you're not likely to see immediate rewards for your actions. This is more long term. This is kind of building the foundations for the future. So that in a nutshell is a summary of the three main kind of energies that will be at play in the background between now and June of 2020. Just commenting overall, it's worth saying that in many respects this is about a balancing of masculine and feminine energies. So Capricorn in tarot terms, you could associate with not just the world and the devil, but also the emperor. And Cancer, although it is associated with the moon card and with the chariot, you could also associate it to an extent with the Empress energy, because it's the archetypal mother. The sun and moon have similar resonances. These are the cosmic yin and yang energies. So we're talking about the sun is masculine energy and the moon is, generally speaking, feminine energy. So you could say that between now, sort of over the next 6 months, that there's a balancing happening between masculine and feminine energies. Right, so let's get into the individual forecasts. The best way to leverage these is to listen to the forecast for your rising sign, your ascendant. This will ensure that the planets are in the correct position as far as life areas are concerned, so they're more likely to be accurate when it comes to predictions. Although you can also listen for your sun sign and then for your moon sign. If you'd like to order a personal forecast for the upcoming 6 months or 12 months, you can go to my website and order one from astrologysphere.com. So Capricorn, this particular eclipse season is going to be quite a big deal for you, given that there will be so many planets in Capricorn between now and the end of January 2020. The solar eclipse that begins the fresh 6-month cycle on the 26th of December also happens in Capricorn, and really what it's doing is asking you between now and June of 2020 to consider fresh starts when it comes to personal plans for your physical appearance, the way you express yourself. So you're taking the focus essentially away from the last 6-month cycle, which was all about close personal relationships and commitments, sort of one-to-one commitments, and you're now placing the focus on yourself. So this is all about self-development. If you want to make a fresh start in your life, this is a fantastic time to do so. You'll have the help of Jupiter in Capricorn, which is really lucky, expansive, enthusiastic energy to get you to sort of turbo boost you into this particular new cycle, which is fantastic news. So you should have a lot of extra self-confidence, on a subconscious level. You may also feel that it's the right time. You may be getting sort of signs and signals from the universe that it's really time to sort of change things. So really go for it. And one thing you may want to consider between now and June is, are you subconsciously sabotaging yourself or preventing yourself from changing? And if you are, you might want to consider perhaps investing, going for therapy, getting a life coach, or even investing in some of those subliminal CDs will help you to reprogram your mind so that you're open to the fresh starts and the changes that you want to happen in 2020. With any solar eclipse, there's always a corresponding lunar eclipse. So as we're bringing new stuff in, so we have to release the old. And in the case of Capricorns, this has to do with this will happen at the Cancer eclipse on the 10th of January, which will phase out a cycle that began on the 2nd of July of 2019. So this began with the solar eclipse in Cancer and went through to December of 2019, and really this is just the sort of vestiges, the kind of leftover residue from that cycle that you're going to have to perhaps put to bed, bury, or let go of. This has to do with close personal relationships and partnerships. So it's possible that over the last year or so you either decided to get divorced, leave a business partnership, perhaps sell your share of a business, or you may have decided to make some changes to the way that you relate to others one-on-one. Your idea of what commitments mean may have changed a lot in the last 6 months. So these are all things that are likely to constellate around the 10th of January with the Cancer lunar eclipse. Remember, this is a full moon, so it could be quite an emotional time. You may feel grief, you may feel a sense of loss, but know that this will pass and that it's probably something you've been processing for the last 6 months anyway. So it won't come as a great surprise if things get thrown up around this time that have to do with issues that you've been working on, you know, since June of July of last year. Then on the 12th of January, we have a Saturn-Pluto conjunction also happening in your sign. Now, Saturn is your natural ruler, so this will be personal in many respects. You will also be familiar with the energy of Saturn, which is all about, you know, the hard taskmaster, basically mastering things, stepping into your authority, realizing that the significant things in life don't come easily. They come with a lot of work, application, and sometimes suffering, although they don't always need to. So at this time, you may be asked to cut back or to make some changes when it comes to your physical appearance, your health, your body image, the way you express yourself. But it also may involve changes to do with your friendship circle, your social circle, or your group membership. So it's possible that at this time, that as you're changing and you want to make personal changes, that you're going to have to perhaps let go of certain friends, perhaps cancel certain memberships that you've had for a long time. You know, perhaps you've belonged to a group of society that you don't really feel reflects who you are anymore, and that it's time to kind of let that go. Or you feel that the time that you spend on social media isn't really terribly constructive, that it feels quite inauthentic, and so you want to spend less time on social media. Or you may decide that you want to use social media as a platform for a good cause, to really express your new identity going forward. So that will mean making some changes. You may also decide to let go of a hang-up to do with body image or physical appearance. You may decide that it's time to get your teeth fixed, for example, because Saturn rules teeth, hair, nails, and skin. So it's possible that you may decide to have some dental surgery at this time that's long overdue, for example having your wisdom teeth taken out. You may decide to have a makeover of some kind, you know, cut your hair, have your nails done. These are just some of the ways that the Saturn-Pluto energy may work. Generally speaking though, Saturn and Pluto are about cutting back, so getting rid of excess, you know, trimming things down to the bare bones so that you can rebuild. So that's something to bear in mind when it comes to this particular transit. I have gone into quite a bit of detail about this particular conjunction in my previous video, which was all about the big picture for the Saturn, the solar eclipse in Capricorn. So if you haven't watched that, you may want to go back and watch that now. So guys, that's really it. I hope you've enjoyed these horoscopes, that they've been helpful to you and given you some pointers on the major trends that are going to be happening for you between now and June of 2020. If you haven't already, you may want to go to my website and find out more about eclipses. I do have a library of eclipses going back about 15 years, so if you're interested in looking at previous eclipses, then please sign up for my membership. It's free. It gives you access to my eclipse library. It gives you my it also means that you get my bi-monthly newsletters, which I send out to everyone on my mailing list, and it also means that you get exclusive and early access to any upcoming forecasts that I do that are not in the public domain. So with that, I wish you all the best for 2020. I hope the eclipses bring you everything that you hope for. Good luck with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, and hope to see you again really soon.